welcome to today's Way Forward Workshop Leader Lunch Break. We are thrilled to welcome Dr. Michael Baston. Dr. Baston took the helm of Cuyahoga Community College last July as the 5th president of the college. He came to us as a nationally recognized thought leader on the role of community colleges in shaping educational success, supporting regional workforce needs and economic growth, and championing needed reforms in diversity, equity, and inclusion. He began his career as an attorney, representing educational institutions and social justice organizations, and he was inspired to dedicate his time and talents to academia exclusively. From teaching to student affairs administration and as associate provost, his experiences in the higher ed realm prepared him well to serve as the leader of first Rockland Community College in New York and now our Cuyahoga Community College, Ohio's largest and oldest community college. Dr. Baston sees his presidency as an opportunity to build inclusive excellence. As he says, Tri-C is a place where opportunities abound, connections are made, knowledge is gained, and tomorrow's stories are written. It's truly a place where, as we've all heard, futures begin. Dr. Baston.
Thank you so much, Marianne. It's certainly good to be with all of you today. And what a warm welcome and such friendly faces. And I'm happy to talk with you for a few minutes about this idea of transforming Tri-C. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And here we go. Well, I want to start by sharing, I think, something that's very important to all of us and really what our vision is at Tri-C. You know, we imagine a future in which every citizen, regardless of where they live, is educated and supported to enter a career where they can earn what they need to care for their family, a future in which their children can grow and prosper here in Northeast Ohio. We have a very diverse student population, students from 12 to 89. Our average age is 26, and 62% of our students are female. More than 40% of our students are from minority groups, and we have students representing 30 different countries that represent Tri-C. So it really is a fascinating institution that has spanned these 60 years with a real legacy of leadership from President Chapman, who began this work, and the successor of President Ellison, President Thornton, and Dr. Johnson, and I have been blessed to actually now take up the reins of our institution. These leaders all came with this idea that we could build a college that would actually care for the people of our community. Dr. Chapman often recalled that first day of registration where 3,000 people got online to sign up for this glorious experiment. And that one college concept has changed throughout the decades and really has refined our focus on the things that I'm going to be working on in my presidency. When Dr. Chapman started, he really had to build the foundation of the institution. And at that time, there were 3 campuses that were separately accredited. Dr. Ellison came and really recognized the importance of developing a systematic approach under one accreditation, but those 3 locations would have specialties in given areas. He also saw the need for advanced manufacturing, the work with NASA, really trying to make sure that workforce development was a significant part of our approach. And then Dr. Thornton came and really focused us on expanding opportunities with business and industry in the community and the students we serve, focusing on access. And so as our first leg of our journey for 30 years, we really focused heavily on how we would move the college forward in this way. Building off of that systems approach, as well as the access mission, Dr. Johnson came and really focused on completion, ensuring that we had more students who actually graduated from our programs so that we could make greater impact in the community. And so he built on that system approach. He built on the access mission. He really made completion a very key cornerstone of his work. And it is within this context, particularly in a post-pandemic world, that I am building on access in a different way. Access is not just about students who are in high school coming into our 2-year institution and going into our 4-year institution. Access means that you can come in for a shorter term credential or your 2-year degree, or even if you have a bachelor's, master's, or doctor's program, come back for a certificate that will ultimately help you develop your skill sets and continue to develop your abilities. And so that access mission is more broad today. Completion is also more broad today because it's not enough to complete. You want to complete a credential of value that's going to give you the best chance to thrive in the marketplace. And so we think about completion differently. And the focus of my work at Tri-C is really about post-college success. How do we expand the concept of access? How do we rethink about completion? How do we make the goalposts, making sure that people have a better life because they came to Tri-C? When I came here, I had a very important mission, and that is to move citizens from economic fragility to economic mobility. But that requires intentionality, authentic collaboration, and courage of all actors in the opportunity ecosystem to get it done. And that Cuyahoga Community College must and shall do its part. And so in my first 100 days, I met with more than 2,000 folks. I did listening sessions in the community as well as on campuses. I participated in national speaking engagements and state briefings, really moving around our region to ensure that I could get as much information possible to make some good decisions as we move forward. And after that 100 days, we actually listened, and our court and captioning students took all the sessions and transcribed them. Our institutional research folks analyzed those transcripts so that we could surface recurring themes to improve our institutional effectiveness. Our marketing communication launched a 100-day website with the milestones of the things that we had learned. And ultimately, we released our 100-day report to internal and external communities. And then in January, we took all those findings back to our campuses, and we did ideas festivals to ask the members of our community to give us some ideas that would actually move our institution forward. And what surfaced was our new student success approach, that all students will be on a pathway to a credential of value that supports our students' personal, career, and economic aspirations and aligns with our region's economic development goals. In short, our promise is that every student through every program, living in every zip code, will have a high quality, intentionally designed educational experience that ensures they have the skills to succeed. We want to make sure that the education is purposeful so they could progress. And so we then had to ask ourselves, well, what do we do? Where do we go from here? And we wanted to know, do we have the right strategy? Do we have the right systems? Do we have the right structures? How do we think about one college in a post-pandemic world that has multiple modalities? It's not just coming into a classroom, but you could do remote classes and all of those kinds of things. In terms of the right systems, do we have the enrollment systems and advisement systems and counseling systems that can help students? And do we have that level of organizational coherence that we're all on the same page in service to our community? And so we decided we would be student ready, that we would build a culture of clarity where we actually made it easier for students to get into the college and easier for students to navigate the options. That we were going to be success focused, that we would redesign the student experience in very intentional ways to ensure that the students had the skills to succeed so that that degree could translate into real currency once they left us. And of course, we want to make sure that we are making that community impact. How do we strengthen our values proposition? These are the areas of focus. This is our educational approach, that we want to be student ready and success focused and deliver a community impact. And so we've put together a presidential goals, which really focus on driving our strategic vision, delivering institutional relevance, deepening our economic stability, demonstrating our work and increasing our visibility, and of course, deploying our resources. We know that resourcing success will be very, very important. And so we do all of this work over the course of this past year, listening, learning, understanding the context, making sure that we could make a difference for students, and also always keeping our students front and center in everything that we do. And I'm so grateful to get a chance to work with young people who are energetic and who have a desire to move forward, who see themselves as being more than what they have been and letting their dreams take them further than they could have ever thought. Not only those who are moving into the professions, but even future generations. The opportunity I get to serve is so extraordinary. And to watch these students who made their determination, who have fought so hard, who raised their hand, who has really encouraged future generations, for that young person to see their dad walk across the stage and say, "You did it." That's what we do at Tri-C. That's why Tri-C futures begin. And that's why we are seeking to make sure every person in this community, whether you're starting from high school or whether you've been in school or have a degree or don't have a degree, we want this day to be your day. This is what it means to transform Tri-C. Thank you so much for letting me have an opportunity to briefly share what we've been doing.
Dr. Baston, thank you so much. So we're going to move into questions, and we've had many questions coming in, so we're going to dive right in. Can you share what percentage of graduates remain in Cleveland, and how is Tri-C tracking the jobs they take and the impact to the local workforce?
Well, 85% of our students who graduate from Tri-C actually stay in Northeast Ohio. And we look at some of the data that comes from the census, so we're able to see impact. There's some statistics now from the United States Census that actually allow us to dig down deep into the county to understand the impact of the graduates from our institution. And so we monitor this information. We also work with great organizations like our partners at Team NEO, who also give us a lot of that information, because we do want to be knowledgeable about where our students go and how they are progressing beyond the time with us. But also, we want them to come back and continue to see us as their educational partner.
Who are the key partners you have in the community as you help to build that post-college success vision? And where are you looking to build partnerships to support that?
Well, certainly amongst our critical partners are K-12, because in fact, we are sort of going to be the partners with them to move the students from the K-12 system and through our institution and the opportunities that are available to them. So K-12 is, of course, a very important partner. Our community-based organizations, another important partner. Our middle name is community. And so we want to make sure that we are raising the awareness of the opportunities for the various people that are being touched by our community-based organization partners. Our four-year institutions and other educational institutions, important partners, because as students transition through us and into those post-secondary experiences, we want there to be a clear connection to the opportunities. As far as we're concerned, all of the work that we do is really in service to the aims of our students. In terms of business and industry, informing our curriculum, helping us to make sure that the students have the skills they need to be successful, they are other important stakeholders. You know, when we think about partners, we think about how do we align our mission with the mission of our partners? How do we look for win-win opportunities so that we are together co-designing outcomes that we want as a result of the partnership? And we have found in our community, whether it be our four-year partners, our two-year, our K-12 partners, our community-based organizations, our partners in government, you know, whether it's our community-based organizations, that all of those partnerships are critical to our success as an institution.
So love the listening tour that you went on in your first time here. So want to learn a little bit about what might have been some of the most surprising or most meaningful things you've heard from the students as you were going through the listening tours?
One of the things that touched me more than anything else from the students was their desire to move forward in their life, their recognition that this time cannot be wasted, that this time is critical to the things that they want to become, the things that they want to do for their families. You know, many of the people that I talked to, the students along the way, were not even there for themselves. They were there for the child. They were there for the parent. They were there for the members of the community that are all behind them. They were there because they had goals greater than themselves. They wanted to learn and grow, but they also wanted to give back in meaningful ways. And so that love of community was something that I didn't anticipate, but it became much more evident in talking with the students and just watching them interact with each other here on the campus. You get that sense that wherever the location they're in, they are part of a family, that their family in some cases may be the most significant family as they navigate the responsibilities of dealing with other family members. So the support network, I didn't realize how important the place is for people who feel that they don't have a place other places.
Kind of building off of that, some of the needs that your students have, how is Tri-C working to help meet some of those basic needs, such as food access or housing?
Well, on 3 of our 4 campuses, we have food pantries now. We're partnering until we can build out a food pantry at our Eastern campus. And, you know, food insecurity is a very extraordinary challenge for college students, and we're trying to make sure that they have those supports. We also, during the pandemic, developed a whole host of virtual strategies to support students so that they could have access to someone at all times, day or night, that they could talk to, because we do know that mental health challenges exist. We do know that figuring out how to navigate complex systems are a challenge, particularly if you're a first-generation student and you don't have sort of a lot of experience navigating the system. You know, it's like being a person who comes in for the HR visit. HR gives you a stack of papers, and you know you're supposed to sign your life away. You're supposed to figure out when you're going to retire, and you maybe just starting out in your career. And they give you all the stack, and if anything goes wrong, they say it's in the stack we gave you on that first day. Well, that's how first generation students feel like. There's a stack of stuff, and you're speaking language, you're talking all these acronyms and stuff like that. So if you're not used to navigating this kind of system, it can be a challenge. And so we have to be very responsive to try to make sure that we make it as easy as possible for our students to navigate the system.
From a leadership perspective, how do you ensure that your organization remains coherent enough to ensure desired changes while also staying nimble to respond to those emerging needs?
Well, part of it is recognizing if you have a coherence problem. You know, when you're in a big organization, sometimes the complexity actually frustrates the ability and the agility that you need to move forward. When we were in the pandemic, we were able to quickly get people from the physical space onto the virtual reality. We were quickly able to move in a lightning pace because we had to. But there are muscles that we gained during that experience that we don't want to lose, even though at many institutions, change becomes a big challenge. Oh, change, my goodness. I don't mind if you change everybody else as long as you don't change me. But the reality is, we are now in a world that expects things to happen quickly. We have a younger generation of students, quite frankly, that have had an iPad since they were 3. And so they're not waiting for you to have a letter come in the mail with a postage stamp. They're not waiting for you to, so trying to make sure that we communicate the urgency, that we continue to keep in front of people what's at stake, to be as transparent as one can under the circumstances, but also keeping in front of our people why. Why are we doing this? We are here because people's lives are at stake. Opportunity and the lack of opportunity is really within our ability to present that pathway to it. And so that is what, as a leader, is very important for us to all stay on the same page. What's at stake? If we are not here, if we're not helping these folks, what will happen to them? And then what happens to our community? And what happens to us?
Can you speak to any programs or plans you have to connect with other schools of higher learning, whether that's locally, regionally, or otherwise?
Well, we're very blessed to lead a number of initiatives around the state, and we'll be doing some more things around the country. But specifically, we are the convener for a big grant that we received for nursing development and diversification for this region. And so we work with our other community colleges. We have a very robust relationship with certainly the work that we're doing with Cleveland State and Case to make sure that there's a seamless transition from our institution to those institutions. And we think that that is important. We're part of a lot of national organizations. And so we are participating in thinking about credentials, not just for Tri-C, but for the whole country, so that we can engage in workforce transformation. So Tri-C has always been an innovative community connector, but also we're thinking about the work that we're doing nationally as well.
Who are the schools that you look to emulate their practices, their systems? Who do you look to?
Well, we just took my senior team, thanks to a generous, gift from the Gun Foundation, to the state of Florida to look at 3 community colleges that are very similar to us, but ultimately are making some great strides in areas where we want to grow. We went to Hillsborough Community College to really learn about how they engage in data analysis that enables them to really develop a different way to serve as students because of that engagement with data. We went to St. Petersburg College to really understand how the collaborations with the community through their collaboration labs strengthen partnerships to produce better outcomes in the workforce space for the students that they serve. We went to Broward College to understand about their Broward Up program, how they're using community-based opportunities of engagement, very similar to our access centers, to actually ensure that everyone in that community, with the relationships with business and industry and community-based organizations, really become beacons of opportunity throughout the community. Many of those institutions have the same size of student body that we have, the same economic demographics of where we are. And so we wanted institutions that were that we look to these really important things about community engagement, workforce innovation, those sorts of things, as places where we really want to grow ourselves.
You have spent your career on the East Coast. What difference do you see between how the East Coast and then Midwest Ohio approach community college education?
Well, I would say that I'm from the East Coast, as you mentioned. I feel the sort of hospitality here. I feel much more of those Midwestern values here. I feel, it is not as sort of hustle and bustle. I think that, I feel a sense of connection with our faculty, our staff, and our community. It's a very generous community. My institution, Tri-C, is one of the most generous institutions. Our people give and give, not only just financially, but they give of themselves. They participate in just about every board and committee and opportunity. So that is different because that then is a part of the culture of the institution. Whereas in the East Coast, not so much. Kind of like, very fast paced, and sometimes fast is not necessarily good because I think that the way we care about people, the way we take care of our students, I feel personally that that culture is embedded throughout the institution. I really sense that people at our institution genuinely care about what happens to students and what happens to them, not only as students, but as people.
Are there any specific advocacy initiatives that Tri-C is focused on, which others could help support?
Well, this November, we will be actually up for our levy. And what the levy does, what the taxpayer contribution to the college does, is it allows us to actually reduce the cost of their ability to go to college. It would be almost impossible for us to provide the level of service and support to the residents of our community without the support of our taxpayers. So that's going to be November 7th. We don't have our issue number yet, but I can tell you, for those of you who have family or friends that have in any way been benefited by Tri-C, that they got educated by Tri-C, they got their start in Tri-C, that can tell you how that Tri-C experience made a difference, I really hope that you will help us to spread the word that Tri-C is a good investment, that when you invest in Tri-C, you invest in our community, because keeping that tuition low allows us to make sure more and more people get the quality education that they deserve.
As you look ahead over the next few years, are there specific industry segments which are a particular focus for Tri-C in terms of preparing the workforce?
Well, certainly our work in manufacturing will continue, but we want to continue to introduce manufacturing to this generation in a different way, because we know that some of the experiences of manufacturing in the past are still kind of, we got to do a sort of a makeover, an image makeover a little bit in some areas. It's not working and you get all greasy and you can't breathe. It's not that anymore. You can go into some of these, I've been in some of these manufacturing places and they've just been extraordinary. So we've got to be thinking about what that looks like. EV is going to be an area where we're going to be in. We're going to be in IA and a much more, all of the artificial intelligence spaces, IT, the healthcare spaces. We're thinking people are going to live longer. And living longer will require much more supports as people decide to live at home longer. So what does that mean for the continuum of care and how you prepare people for those eventualities? So there are lots of things that we look at. And then we also focus heavily on preparing entrepreneurs. We know that the gig economy sort of transition is going to continue to grow as more and more of Americans want to live their entrepreneurial dreams. And so we're building an entrepreneurship center. We're going to build that as a pathway to our Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, because people in our country, particularly younger people, they want to use their creative talents and skills and abilities, and they want to be able to turn it into a way for them to not just have a side hustle, but for some, a main hustle.
What does Tri-C look like in the next 10 years, and what support do you need to reach that vision?
Tri-C in the next several years will look more diverse. It will be engaged with people from different economic backgrounds, even the more. We have too many people on the outside of opportunity in our community. We want to bring them in. We have too many people that don't know all of the opportunities that are available, all of the job opportunities, all of the educational opportunities, all of the opportunities to transform their lives. So we want to make sure that we are embedded in the awareness, the collective awareness of our community, that those people who are currently not engaged for whatever reason, that they have a home here with us. And so I see a much more robust, diverse, engaged community that is prepared, and we see ourselves as the professional development partner for life. And so we're not just, you come here to and through. No, come back and get that certificate. Come back and get that engaged opportunity. Come back, and if you want to do real estate, maybe you had a whole different business, come back and do that. If you, whatever it is you want to do, we're here to help you do it. And I always want people to recognize at Tri-C, you are not alone. We are here with you.
Dr. Baston, we are so excited to have had you join us today, and your passion and your enthusiasm is just so welcome here in Cleveland. And we look forward to seeing all that you do with Tri-C over the next few years.
Thank you, Rachel. Good to see everybody. And I can't wait to continue the conversations.